Hello, fifth graders, and welcome to your language arts lesson for today. As we're getting ready today, you will need your white binder, your language arts materials packet, your copy of Gilgamesh, and a pencil. So go ahead and get those things and then come on back. So, fifth graders, our objective today is going to be completing your writing map. So, let's just talk about things that you can kind of get out and get ready to go. This is Gilgamesh heroic chart. You're going to want to get that out, fifth graders, okay? You should have completed it for homework yesterday. This is going to be super helpful as you guys are working on today's assignment, okay? These two sheets of paper, your writing body paragraphs and your concluding sentences, should have gone into the writing section of your white binder. So you'll want to make sure those are handy because it's going to be kind of helpful as we're going through. Finally, in your language arts materials packet, you should find this Gilgamesh's heroism paragraph writing map. So fifth graders, this is kind of our task for today. When you're writing for me in fifth grade, this is going to be what serves as your rough draft, okay? We're going to work through, especially at the beginning, we're going to kind of work through it together step by step. And this is kind of what will set up your final draft eventually, okay? So today's objective, really, we're going to have kind of like a working session today, so that if you're working along with me, you should be pretty ready, pretty confident that you are set to take a picture and turn this into me, okay? So with that in mind, again, if you need to kind of get yourself situated, you want to get your chart out, your Is Gilgamesh heroic chart. You want to have your white binder open to these pages, and you want to have this out ready to go with a pencil. Okay, so first things first is I'm just going to walk you through this chart, what it looks like, what it means, and then we're going to get into it and start filling it out. So the directions here tell us, complete the following writing map in preparation for writing your paragraph. Once you have completed this map, which actually, I don't love this. This is my own fault. I should have edited this before I sent it. Usually when we're in school, we do both of these steps in one day, but we're going to separate this out. So this step here, you're just going to actually cross out. Don't worry about your final draft yet. Okay. All right. And then I have this part here about being sure to follow the fifth grade homework expectations. If we were in the classroom, we would have a look at a big piece of paper that kind of shows you what my expectations are. So to keep it simple, the big thing that I want you guys, this homework expectation, is just no writing in the margins. Okay, that's the big thing I'm going to ask of you for this, okay? We'll deal with that tomorrow though, okay? As we're talking a little bit about that. So remember what we talked about yesterday, right? We talked about when we're writing these body paragraphs, we want to have one topic sentence, at least 3 supporting sentences, and 1 concluding sentence. So 5 sentences total, at least. So we're going to start with our topic sentence number 1. And I'm asking you to select just one heroic characteristic in which Gilgamesh has shown improvement. Fifth graders, if you have completed this chart, this should be really helpful to you. So this is really going to not be a viable option because he hasn't shown improvement in this area, okay? Probably neither this nor this, because again, you can see we have pluses. And so what we're really looking for is a characteristic where it starts with a minus symbol and then moves to a plus symbol. So as I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking you're probably going to be selecting one of your virtues, okay? So what you want to do is really find a virtue where it's a minus symbol here, but a plus symbol here. So if you see that fortitude, he didn't show it at the beginning, but you do think he does at the end, you'd pick that. Or if you look at prudence and say he didn't show prudence at the beginning, but he did at the end, pick that. Oh, you can't really see that. Or if you see temperance and think he didn't show temperance at the beginning, but he did at the end, pick that. Or maybe he didn't display justice at the beginning, but he did at the end. You're going to go ahead and pick that, okay? So right now, with your pencil, you can fill it in. This is pretty much going to be your topic sentence, okay? I'm giving 90% of that topic sentence to you. You just need to pick which heroic characteristic is going to go here. So looking at your chart, and pause if you need to, look at your chart and pick one. And then you're going to fill it in. Throughout the book, Gilgamesh the hero, Gilgamesh grows to be more heroic by becoming more, what? More just. More prudent. Or maybe you want to say showing more, and that would be fine too, by showing more prudence. Particularly because if you're saying fortitude, I don't know if you know this, but fortitude being a noun, the adjective form of it is fortitudinous. So you could say by becoming more fortitudinous, or you could just say by showing more fortitude. Also, as a side note, temperance has an N in it. Temperate does not. The word is not temperate with an N, it's temperate. Temperate. So you should have filled in already. If you have not written in which heroic characteristic you're going to be writing about, pause and do so because we're moving on. All right, so supporting sentences, here we go. At least 3 of them, and I've pretty much laid out what the 3 of them should look like, okay? Your first sentence, you're going to include one specific example that highlights how Gilgamesh does not demonstrate the heroic characteristic you selected. You need to pick an example. You know where you could find an example? On your chart. You're going to find one from the beginning of the book where there's a minus sign, and that can be your example. Your second sentence tells you to include one specific example that highlights how Gilgamesh does demonstrate the heroic characteristic you selected. Again, looking at your chart, you're going to find a place where you have a plus, and then that's your example. You really shouldn't have to do too much flipping through your book to find those examples. And then step 3, you want to explain why those examples show that Gilgamesh has grown to be more heroic. And I forgot, we'll come back and work on this after we go through the whole thing. So you're going to see sentence 1 goes here, well, supporting sentence 1. Supporting sentence 2 goes here, supporting sentence 3 goes here. And then we get to our concluding sentence. All 3 of these parts, 5th graders, make up one sentence. This is not 3 separate sentences. This is one sentence, okay? You start with your transitional word or phrase. What does she mean, transitional word or phrase? You actually have it in 2 places. If you look at your concluding sentence notes, there's a bunch of them. If you look at your body paragraph notes, there's a bunch of them. So you're going to fill in a transitional word or phrase. You're going to restate all the important parts of your topic sentence, and then you're going to say something new or interesting. How do I say something new or interesting? How do I say something new or interesting? So that's why we really want to have those notes out ready to go. So with that in mind, we're going to take a look at a sample paragraph. I'm writing about a heroic characteristic that you're not allowed to write about. That's on purpose. I'm picking something to show you what a good paragraph might look like. However, I don't want you to be able to just take my work. So you should not be writing about gentler because that's not a heroic characteristic on our chart. So as I read through, I'm going to highlight parts of this paragraph. The things that I highlight are things that you are allowed to steal from me, okay? You don't have to, but you may, okay? So that can help guide and structure your paragraph as we go, okay? So our topic sentence, and our topic sentences should all pretty much be exactly the same because I'm giving it to you. So here's my topic sentence. Throughout the book, Gilgamesh the hero, Gilgamesh grows to be more heroic by becoming gentler. Again, you may not write about gentler or whatever you want. You have to pick something from the chart, okay? All right. This is my first example where he's not showing this characteristic. And again, this highlighted part, you could take from me. For instance, in the first part of the book, and then I write my specific example. Gilgamesh angrily shouts orders at his people so that they will complete exhausting building projects. You could provide a quote here, or you can just describe that example with enough detail that I know exactly what you're talking about. My second example. Then, near the end of the book, Gilgamesh responds to the criticism of the old woman with a smile rather than anger. So again, I'm describing in specific detail. In these examples, Gilgamesh shows that he has become, I'm going to say, gentler. Why? Because he does not yell at his people, but instead acts with compassion and kindness toward his people. So I've explained how these examples display that he has become gentler. Therefore, Gilgamesh's heroism increases in Gilgamesh the hero as he becomes gentler. And his people love and respect him more because of this change. So fifth graders, again, I reiterate, I've highlighted all these pieces that you can use. These are kind of the transitional phrases that you could use to set your writing up. And we're going to kind of keep referring back to that as we go. Okay. So with that in mind, we're back. Again, remember, this is like a working session that we're going to be going through. You should be working along with me. You should be pausing when you're ready to pause and work and write things in. But remember, this is really not supposed to be super extra hard work. You're supposed to really be using the resources available to you. So by now, you should have already filled in what heroic characteristic you're going to be working on. I'm assuming it's going to be fortitude, prudence, temperance, or justice. And again, you want to pick something that you start with a minus sign and end with a plus sign. So looking at my guidance and the parts that I highlighted for you over here, we're going to set up our first example. And again, you should just really be working along with me. For instance, in the first part of the book, so if you're choosing to use my exact words, that's what you're going to fill in there. Or maybe you want to try to do something a little bit different. Either way, it's really good to set up your examples to guide your reader into what's coming, okay? So now you should be looking at your heroism chart and filling in an example where Gilgamesh does not show the characteristic. If you're using a quote, it's going to need some setup, right? You can't just say, for instance, in the first part of the book, he threw, I guess that one would work. For instance, in the first part of the book, those stones are orange, not gold. That's going to need more context. You'd have to say, like, for instance, in the first part of the book, Gilgamesh yelled at his people by saying, fill in the blank, okay? So pause, finish this sentence, and when you're ready, come on back. Okay, now we want to pick a example where he does show this characteristic, okay? So then, near the end of the book, and if we're saying near the end of the book, then it really should be an example that is near the end of the book. So again, you want to go across your chart for whatever characteristic you picked, go across and find a plus in that final column and fill in an example. You may use a quote. Again, pay attention. Do you need to set up that quote more? Or if you're not picking a quote, then you need to describe that example with enough detail that I know what you're talking about. So pause and then come back. So sentence 3 is where or supporting sentence 3 is where we're explaining why these examples show a change in Gilgamesh. So, in these examples, Gilgamesh shows that he has become more what? More prudent, more temperate, more just. Or maybe you're going to say, shows that he has grown in temperance, prudence, justice, whatever. Because, why? So you have to explain how he is showing more whatever, right? And this might be a great opportunity to go back and look at your virtue cards. Remember, they're linked in our resources. This could give you a way to explain, why is he showing more temperance? What part of temperance is he exhibiting now that he wasn't before? What part of justice is he exhibiting now that he wasn't before? And again, if you're not sure, those virtue cards are there for you to take a look at. So go ahead and pause and then come on back. All right, fifth graders, now we're on to our concluding sentence. Remember, as we're looking at this, we have our first sentence is going to be this topic sentence. And then we're going to have our 3 supporting sentences. And then we end with this concluding sentence. Remember, all 3 of these things are going to make up your concluding sentence. The first part of your concluding sentence is going to be your transitional word or phrase. I remind you that these are free for the taking. They're on both the sets of notes that you got yesterday. We highlighted them. So you're just going to pick one. Maybe you'd write therefore. Maybe you'd write as a result. Maybe you'd write in conclusion. Maybe you'd write in summary. Maybe you'd write to conclude. So just pick one that goes here. I tend to pick therefore. That's just my jam. However, you might pick something else, as long as you don't put and so. Okay? Now we're going to restate the topic sentence. So we talked about this yesterday, that as we're restating the topic sentence, if you are not sure what to do, then literally, truly, word for word, restate the topic sentence. Therefore, throughout the book, Gilgamesh the hero, Gilgamesh grows to be more heroic by becoming more blank. Okay? If you're choosing to challenge yourself a little and use different words than the ones given, make sure you're including all the important parts, which means who is the book, who is this about, what is it about, and what is the book, right? So it's about Gilgamesh's heroism shown in what characteristic and what book. So as you look at my example paragraph, right, I say, therefore, Gilgamesh's heroism increases in Gilgamesh the hero as he becomes blank. Okay. And remember, these are all a part of one sentence. Fill in the blank there. And, oh, I'm almost off. Now you end this sentence with your something new or interesting. What does she mean? How do I say something new or interesting? Take a look at those concluding sentence notes. How do I say something new or interesting? So you're going to pause and finish this sentence with something new or interesting. All right, fifth graders. If you worked along with me This should pretty much be done. You should have it all filled in. This is your homework today. This is what you're submitting a picture of, okay? You're going to take a picture of your writing map and you're going to submit it to me. That's it. You're done for today once you've got this done, okay? Tomorrow, we'll jump into a little bit more of what comes next, okay? Let me know if you have questions.